Okay, here's some things I wish people knew about bipolar disorder. Number one being it's not extreme mood swings where 1 second you're happy and then you're sad and then you're angry and screaming and throwing things. Bipolar disorder is not a mindset, it is a chronic illness, and people take medication for it.
Bipolar disorder is actually one of the most treatable mental health conditions. I think it's quite straightforward, the treatment. Supportive psychotherapy, the right medications, a good support system. And if you have these things in place, you can live a long and fulfilling life with bipolar disorder. It doesn't have to stop a single thing. You can live a great life. The one thing that makes bipolar disorder so hard, in my opinion, is the fact that some people have to wait on average 10 to 15 years sometimes to get an accurate diagnosis. It's the delayed diagnosis which makes bipolar disorder so hard. But if you're able to recognize it in time, you can live a long and fulfilling life. People have to understand that bipolar disorder, there's a couple different forms, right? So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. You have the two main types, bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. So bipolar 1 disorder, you don't have to have depressive episodes technically, even though a lot of people may have depressive episodes with bipolar 1. But the distinguishing feature of bipolar disorder is mania or hypomania. So in bipolar 1 disorder, you have mania. Mania. It's at the top, right? So with mania, you have an elevated mood. And in addition to this elevated mood, you have hyperverbal speech, a decreased need for sleep. Sometimes when you're manic, you also have psychosis that comes with it. So you may feel as if you're detached from reality. Your decision making is questionable. You're doing things that are really, really fun, but at the same time, they have really, really severe consequences. Driving your car super fast on the highway, way past the speed limit. Spending money impulsively, money that you don't have or money that you may have, but you're blowing it at super fast rates. Impulsive sex that's not premeditated with multiple people. Sometimes sabotaging relationships with people that you love. And this happens because you're manic. It's not you that's really doing these things, but your brain at this time is not in the best position to make the best decisions. So we see these things for at least 7 days, all of these manic symptoms for at least 7 days, and then we can call it bipolar 1 disorder. The one exception is if you are exhibiting these things, elevated mood, hyperverbal speech, questionable decision making, and you're clearly manic, and it's not a week yet. If you exhibit these things and you land in the psychiatric hospital, even if it's been going on for 2 days, then you are automatically given the diagnosis of bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 2 disorder, here you do have depressive episodes, right? You have depressive episodes, but at the same time you have hypomanic episodes. Hypomanic episodes. So you're not fully manic, but you are talking a little bit faster than usual. You do have a decreased need for sleep. You are exhibiting some questionable, decisions. You're doing things that are not in your best judgment, but you don't pay as severe a price for it, right? So you might be a little hypersexual. You might spend a little more money than you plan to spend. You may drive your car a little faster than you're supposed to drive it, but you're normally able to kind of go under the radar. And in my opinion, I think I'm a pretty good clinician. I think I understand people well, and I listen, and I take my time. But in my opinion, I believe that bipolar 2 is the hardest condition to diagnose and catch in all of mental health. And I've been doing this for a while, but bipolar 2 disorder is really hard to catch because bipolar 2, in my opinion, it really looks like a lot of depression and anxiety because you're spending the majority of your time at a low. And then you feel bad about yourself, you're not getting things done. But then when you get a little hypomanic, now we like ourselves. We're very confident, sometimes a little grandiose, but not quite. But we're very confident we're getting things done. And the majority of people who have bipolar 2 disorder, when you're hypomanic, this is sometimes the only time you like yourself. And when you're not hypomanic, you're spending so much time in this low, not being able to get things done, feeling like you're depressed. And you are depressed, but bipolar depression is different from unipolar depression or regular depression. We call it unipolar depression. But bipolar depression is different from depression because when you have bipolar depression, if you were given an antidepressant, Zoloft, Prozac, Paxil, Celexa, Lexapro, so on and so forth, this can sometimes push you into a manic episode or a hypomanic episode where we want to stabilize your mood. We don't want you to be hypomanic or manic, but we want you to stabilize your mood and be able to get things done and feel good about yourself. But bipolar 2 is so difficult because it's hard to catch those hypomanic episodes because you fly under the radar. But what we see is we clearly see the depressive episodes. The treatment for bipolar disorder, I forgot, there is one more form, cyclothymia, which is where you don't have quite depressive episodes and you don't quite have those hypomanic episodes, but you're a little higher than you should be, and you'll spend time being a little lower than you should be, and it vacillates. I'm trying to simplify it so that way people don't get too confused between bipolar 1, bipolar 2, and cyclothymia. With bipolar disorder, like I said, the treatment is pretty straightforward. Mood stabilizers in the form of second-generation antipsychotics or anticonvulsants, right? With the right medications, you can live a great life. You can live a great life. And of course, with pattern recognition, you learn that, okay, all right, when I start to buy a lot of jewelry, it means I'm getting manic. Or when I start to spend so much on my credit card, or when I catch myself talking a little faster than I normally speak, that's a sign that I'm getting manic. And you can have a protection plan where you give a family member your cards, or you have people checking on you, and you don't have to go inpatient. You can do a lot of medication management, outpatient with your outpatient mental health provider, or sometimes your PCP. PCPs don't really like dealing with like psychiatric medications. After a certain point, they're like, go see a mental health professional. And I understand why. But with the right medications and supportive psychotherapy, just having somebody to talk to, even if it's not professional, having a family member who understands you, or a friend who's like, hey, I know how you feel. I know you're in that low right now where you don't really like yourself and you're kind of waiting for that mania to hit you so you can clean your house, you can catch up on your to-do list. Just having people who help to validate your experience, that means a lot. So bipolar disorder, at least for me, it's pretty straightforward to treat. Treatment is not that difficult, and you need a provider who doesn't give up on you. If a couple of meds didn't work, all right, well, let's try some more meds. What do you mean we're going to give up? We're not quitting. Let's try some other meds. Let's try some other types of therapy. Like, let's keep trying, and we're going to work towards a solution. We're going to figure it out. So the treatment for bipolar disorder is not, to me, I think it's fairly straightforward, kind of easy for me. The part that I really struggle with is catching it, especially bipolar 2, which tends to really fly under the radar, and it looks like depression and anxiety. So just keep that in mind. I hope this helped out with bipolar disorder. A lot of people, when they hear the diagnosis of bipolar, they think of really high moods, and all of a sudden you switch really low moods, and they confuse it with borderline personality disorder, or sometimes they conflate it. And you could have both. So that's also an option. But people don't really understand bipolar disorder, and they're sometimes freaked out about it. A lot of times when I diagnose somebody with bipolar, they'll reject the diagnosis. They're like, nah, I'm not bipolar. Nah, I think you're wrong. And now I'm like, hey, I might be wrong. I'm human. I'm human. I haven't been doing this for 30 years. So I'm still learning. I could be wrong. Maybe I've spent too much time in California, Hollywood, and I forgot my mental health skills. I don't think I have. But people are ashamed of the diagnosis because of the weight that it carries and how it's misunderstood in the public. So they're ashamed of it. But bipolar disorder does not mean that you cannot live the life that you want. You can live a long and fruitful and productive life. You can get married. You can have kids. You can have businesses. You can live an amazing life with bipolar disorder. The only thing is that it's hard to catch. It's hard to catch. So as clinicians, we have to work on recognizing it better, myself included. And once we recognize it, we got y'all. It doesn't have to stop a single thing. We're still going to have an amazing life. So hopefully this helps out. Use the comment section to let me know what y'all think about this video.